record this in case. Okay. The question was if Generative Energy will ever resume. My only thoughts on that is I don't. There's like 4 or 5 people that actually know the whole story of what happened, and it's like really complex. And every time I read something on the internet of somebody kind of like distilling down what they think happened, it's like nothing even resembling like what actually happened. And like, dude, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but that was like one of the worst times of my life. And so how it unraveled like really affected me in a negative way. And I don't even think you guys would ever want it, because it would be fake. Like if I were like to do it again, it would be completely phony, and nothing about it would be organic or natural. And so I just like nobody would want it. Like, and so it's like almost better that the show is like preserved in amber, and it's just like I think people might think they want it, but they just don't. And so that's a long, bloated way of answering your question, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. Happy to answer another question or further questions about that.
No, thank you. That was a good answer.
Yeah. Anybody's welcome to unmute, and I'll probably hang out here for half an hour or so. But yeah, this was kind of just an idea of trying to, I don't know, give back in some way or help provide orientation, something positive. And obviously Telegram didn't really work that well. I have no clue what was happening. And if we don't get a huge audience, not that I'm looking for a huge audience, but if the audience doesn't get too big on here, maybe I'll reactivate my Twitter and go on there or something. But happy to answer any questions you guys have.
What do you think about the value or lack thereof of the concept of intuitive eating? Namely, for myself, I find that my body just tells me that sugar, whether from fruit juice or just table sugar, is rather gross, and I'm wondering if I should just force it like a chore rather than listen to my body.
No, do you have a preference for starches instead?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, we asked Ray about that the last Generative Energy. I think it was the last or the second to last. And I asked him, Ray, do like lower thyroid people, do they have a preference for starches? And he was like, yeah. And then I was like, and is it also true that if a person gets their thyroid function up, do they like organically shift away from starches? And he was like, yeah, that's also true. And I asked him that because I had noticed that talking to lots of people, and it just seemed like that would come up over and over and over again. And like, I definitely remember a time before I took thyroid, or I took it off and on, that I would I thought if I couldn't eat potatoes, I would like die. Like it was like unthinkable to me. But at some point, the line of what point that was is a little bit blurry. But at some point, it just seemed like the sugars would be totally fine, and it wasn't like a deprivation activity, But no, I think intuitive eating is the goal. And anytime somebody's telling you how many calories or even what like macronutrient ratio to eat, I mean, it's pretty like semi-retarded. So I don't think you want to be doing that stuff. Like, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, is to become autonomous and to be able to monitor yourself, and your stress is going to change from day to day. And so like sticking to some specific ratio or calorie count is like stupid. And like, I cringe big time when I see somebody on like people on Twitter or some other online venue would say, oh, all men need to eat 4,000 calories or something like that. That's just really dumb.
Thank you.
Yeah. If more people are joining, happy to answer any questions you guys have. I'm just going to hang out here for 30, 45 minutes or so. And if you guys have anything to say about Ray, like yesterday was the third year of his passing. It's absolutely awful. And but yeah, just hanging out here, trying to give back in some way, help provide orientation if I can. And I'm getting questions down here. Okay. What do you say to those who find sweetness? Oh, I already answered that. Is it okay to take Cascara Sagrada long-term for his brain? I think that was Ray's point in his Cascara article, that it was not habit forming. But so yeah, as far as I know, Cascara is not dangerous, or you shouldn't take it. If there's just general constipation, I think that's going to be from hypothyroidism. So they should probably check their thyroid if they're inclined. But I don't think Cascara is, as long as it's a good brand, I don't think it's any problem with that.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Have you heard anything about how Ray actually died?
I have some details, but I don't I'm very open, you know. I just feel like some of the stuff was told to me like in confidence. So I don't know if I like want to blast it on the internet, you know.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
I will say it's like semi mysterious even to the closest people around him. You know, that's probably as much as I should say. So,
Right.
like I don't really know if anybody knows. And
Right.
and when I heard that, I was actually shocked. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you don't
Right.
like, and so, but I don't know, man. Everybody is going to have their own like personal feeling of
Sure.
that, but it's just seemed like, I guess it was just time to go, you know, but
Sure. No,
but,
that's
yeah.
yeah. No, definitely rest in peace. I mean, I know you said to share something about him. One thing I'll share about him is like I loved how like his old email, how he would respond to basically like everything over email. Like I think I've got like I must have asked him like so many random things and he would always respond. And sometimes he would respond like immediately within like 5 minutes of emailing him. And it's just like it just kind of showed how like selfless he was and like how he really wasn't like he wasn't about like money or you know like trying to I don't know the word to describe it, but it just felt it felt really nice that he was just like so kind and responding. And even like I'd email him those I think one time I emailed him and I was like I thought I saw him like in a car at one point like driving, which was like really random because I was in the United States like somewhere he didn't live and he responded to me immediately. He's like, no, that wasn't me. Like I'm not there, but
if he didn't have a gigantic head, then it wasn't him.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. But no, yeah, he just always it was always like in my head. I was like I always wanted to meet him and just like thank him for always responding to me. So it's really unfortunate that he passed away, but
That was
I'll say
pretty
that
much
about him.
one of the things that really tipped me off to how special he was. Like I could not believe that he was replying to emails, like because
Yeah.
me coming from low carb, like I was doing a podcast with Chris Kresser, and I remember distinctly like Chris like basically being like, I can't believe people email me and think I'm gonna email them back. You know, like,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's how the health world was just in general. Like you'd get to a certain level of status, and then it was
Yeah.
like fuck the peons, you know.
Yeah.
And slowly realizing like how much Ray knew, like, and how accessible he was. I was like, this is like insane. This is crazy. Like
Yeah.
it was part of his mystique of why it just like immediately hit me of how different he was, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I emailed him like, well, where do you get antibiotics? And he sent me back my Mexican drugstore or something. And I was in shock that he replied to me, you know? So it was, and then one other thing, I was talking to a girl, and then she very graciously like sent me a PDF of all of their emails. And dude, I could not believe how many emails Ray replied to about like the carrot salad. Like you might like for an outsider, like an uninitiated person, they might think Ray probably has so much like stuff to do or like thinking about the cosmos or something. But
Right.
like Ray is back and forthing with this girl about the carrot like 20 times, you know, like, and just stuff like that. I was like, he's a one of one. And
Yeah.
like, this doesn't really happen that much, but people, when he died, like people were like, who is the next Ray Peat? And it's like, nobody.
Yeah, literally. Like
Nobody's going to be
nobody.
the next Ray Peat. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's funny. That's so funny. Two other things I want to ask you. So, do you still like Mexican Coke? Because I noticed I don't think you have it written on your course as like being a safe food, but I remember Mexican Coke used to be like the it thing like a while ago.
Well, dude, it like kind of disappeared here, and then now it's come back in a slightly different form.
Okay.
And so there's like a form with fructosa or something. Like it doesn't have I'm like going totally blank here on the fake sweetener in it. But they had changed the original recipe of Coke here, which was like mind-boggling. But now it seems to be back. But I think if you can find the original Coke, I think as far as I know, it's okay.
Got it. Okay. I'll have to look. Yeah, because I buy it at well, in America at Costco, but like I just noticed like you didn't have it written. Okay, that's interesting. The last thing I wanted to ask you was, how do you feel about, because I know like in your course you kind of talked about like, thyroid being so important and nutrition, um, isn't, it's obviously still important, but not at like the same emphasis as maybe you previously had thought. But like in regards to B vitamins, I've seen people on like Pete Twitters talk about like, oh, I'm doing like a B complex, like I'm taking a B complex, or I've seen other people say like, oh, I'm taking brewer's yeast for B vitamins. I know liver obviously is like the B vitamin thing, but like, some of the B vitamins, like I'm thinking of like niacinamide or B1, I know they have like a short like half-life in the body. But like is it I'm thinking of like B1 and B like niacinamide and thiamine, I think is how you say it. But like do you think those are important to get? I guess maybe if you're in a more stressed state, versus like if you're in a decent thyroid state, those aren't as important, every day.
The- I mean, they definitely provide value. I definitely give them a go. Since they're so simple and accessible. Like a B1, the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, that's like deactivated in hypothyroidism. So maybe taking some B1 would help like kind of get a person out of a hole or move them in a better direction. And then niacinamide, that's like useful in proportion to how much PUFA is, I guess, in the system. And so they definitely have a place. If again, like I'd be, if somebody's temperature was 95, I'd be pretty shocked if they boosted their temperature up multiple degrees, but it's, they're definitely, for example, I was talking to a guy in Australia and he was having workplace anxiety and we like cycled through a bunch of stuff, just like the essentials, and nothing really touched his anxiety. And then he on his own started taking niacinamide. And then the next time we had a call, he was like, that completely took care of the anxiety. And it was funny because there are papers about it being like nature's Valium. So anyways, yeah, they have a place. They're valuable. I'd be shocked if they increased the temperature like multiple degrees, but in forms of like an adjunct therapy to like bigger macro elements, like I think they're probably pretty valuable.
Right. It just seems like they're low, like B1 especially. It just seems low in like the stereotypical Pete diet. Like if you don't have grains and stuff, they're not there. So I just didn't know if like
I'm still looking for the reference, but Ray said that coffee had B1, and
it did.
I don't think anybody's ever found anything.
Okay. Gotcha. Another Rayism. Got it.
But I mean, like, dude, I'm telling you, so many people do not eat liver and oysters. Like, it would be shocking to you. Like, that's something I've learned over and over and over when talking to people. And so it's always, you just got to take everything on the internet with a grain of salt because you never know what the person is doing or not doing. And you're getting like 10% of the story always. And so, but like egg yolks, those have like not compared to supplementation, but they have a good amount of B vitamins. So it's just hard to say. But anyways, do those have a place? Yeah, I think so for sure.
Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for all the info in the chat. Thanks.
Of course. Happy to answer anybody else's questions. I think more people are piling in here. But
hey, Dan. You go first.
Sorry, guys. It's hard to control the Zoom call. I mean, maybe there is a way to control it. I just don't even know about it.
So I'll go for it. Danny, just building on Simon's question before, especially with the niacinamide. If one's experiencing foamy urine, my original thought would be to perhaps have a slight increase in sugar and take niacinamide, maybe B1, and then also vitamin E. Is anything wrong with that? Anything else that comes to mind that you could use to troubleshoot that?
Yeah, no, all those would seem reasonable. For me, that symptom would always come back when my thyroid was too low. And so I assumed it was the increase in the hypothalamus pituitary adrenals, and those release hormones that liberate fat into the blood. And I could not get rid of that symptom. Maybe if I took a big dose of aspirin or something, it would go away, like just for a day. But all those things you mentioned all inhibit free fatty acids, so they seem reasonable to try.
Because I'm a bit further north, so it's obviously very snowy here. So something I've thought that would be pretty useful is doing weekly or more than once a week saunas, just to kind of boost the metabolism. So it's essentially just anything that's just promoting the metabolism should, so you can get rid of that.
The thing you have to watch out for is I think on Twitter, I'm pretty sure it was Monster Metabolism or something, but he had found a paper that showed that sauna like increased stress, like it increased prolactin. And so kind of similar to a hot shower. Like, have you ever taken a hot shower and then been real tired after? That's like lowering the person's blood sugar and increasing their stress hormones, and it's making them really fatigued. And so with sauna, I think you just have to make sure you're drinking orange juice the entire time or something. Make sure your blood sugar doesn't get too low.
Yeah, that was my thought exactly. Like, it's a fine line between being stressful or therapeutic. So definitely have some kind of fruit juice and I suppose liquids. But
for sure, yeah.
I think with anything, there's always a way to overdose. But okay, thanks.
Yeah, of course. People hitting me up in the chat. I'll read those in a second. Happy to answer any other questions here.
If you guys there was podcast a while back with Ray Peat about the milk diet on Jodel podcast. I don't know if you listened to that one, but he talked about, or they talked about a mono diet with only goat's milk. And Ray Peat said that he had a friend in Mexico with like lots of dogs, and he that friend fed the dogs, or some of them who were injured in their eyes, only goat's milk, and even the dog that had got their eye like totally damaged from a fight, it regrew. And he said that the milk diet, like the mono milk diet, was equivalent or just as good as like thyroid therapy. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, so in I can't remember, maybe like 2012 or 2013, there was a blogger named Matt Stone, and he was writing about the milk diet. And so he had referenced a few books. One was by Bernard McFadden, I think it's called, like the milk diet. And then there was one other guy that I can't remember his name, but he had also written about it. And the thing that stood out to me is there was like a quote from the person that ran the Mayo Clinic at the time. And the quote was like, "The milk diet is the most effective treatment for any ailment." Like, it was like it was just like really, really effective, I guess. But anyways, I kind of my segue from like low carb to high carb starch to Ray Peat was like jumping on milk, or getting me out of the carnivore mindset and how calcium was important. And so yeah, I mean, I wouldn't talk a person out of doing that. And I would suspect we have like a few more problems these days that maybe a milk diet wouldn't be able to touch, because the environment is so bad. But but if a person wanted to try that, I would not talk them out of it. I mean, it's kind of funny you say that, because I just switched my dogs back over to milk. Not only is it a lot cheaper, but it's just easier and they fight less. And so we'll see how that goes. But since they're so inbred, I think they have immunity problems. And so I kind of switched them over to see if that would help. But yeah, dude, it's hard. Like, it's not super easy to do, but it probably has some place in a therapy.
Yeah, I read both of those books actually, and I also tried it on a friend because I I was very intrigued by it. So I actually became a dairy farmer from reading those books. So I have my own goats, and it's a lot of work, so I haven't been able to do it myself, because in the book, Dr. Porter, he says that you have to, like, if you're going to do the milk diet as a therapy, you have to actually take complete bed rest.
Yeah.
And it has to be raw milk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have raw milk and I drink plenty of it, but I haven't been able to do like a mono milk diet. Hopefully sometime in the future, though.
Yeah, I think it has to be warm too. Like, he specifies some temperature of the milk. Yeah,
preferably. Yeah,
dude. Again, I think if doing something like that would be for science and interesting, but And again, I mean, I always talk about this, but the cards are stacked so against the person. I'd be surprised if that was equivalent to something like thyroid, but who knows?
Yeah, sure. Do you think that, or like, how often is the time that you recommend thyroid to your clients, and how often do you find other ways before even having to recommend thyroid?
Well, I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical.
Yeah.
I talk about it in my own experience, but I mean, I kind of go back to what Ray and I talked about. I think I had posted a clip or maybe a sentence or two from a back and forth with him and I on a podcast. And I was like, Ray, how often does like a 20 to 25-year-old benefit from thyroid? And he replied something like always. But that was like Broda Barnes' thesis that people benefited from thyroid in like the 1970s. Like our environment is so much worse now. So I almost think thyroid is important just for a person's like basic functioning. And then there are like other tweaks to like accelerate past that, but it just seems like, especially in the youth, that things are so bad. And again, I don't think enough people talk about this. Like, I think there's like this thought that everybody's playing on some level playing field when it's completely not like that at all. And people are not doing well. And things are really hard. I mean, everybody knows this, the financial stuff, like people can't afford groceries. I mean, that's the type of stress that's extremely impactful, but people, I don't know, people like talk about nutrition like in a contextless way, and where just like taking lactoferrin is going to help or something. So but anyways, but yeah, things are hard.
Yeah. Last question. Have you thought about like organizing, let's say like a community style, self-sufficient community there in Mexico? Probably get this question a lot, do you?
I do. People do ask. I don't know about that. This is a long story, but there was actually like Ray Peat couple here, and that was like the original plan, circa like late 20 or 2021, 2022. And it like totally fell apart, and it was also a bad experience. And so from that point on, I was like, I don't. Georgie actually said on a podcast, it's like really hard to organize with ultra traumatized people, and I include myself in that category, But it's like, and I think that's why I just kind of started. I had the opportunity, and I started doing it myself. But I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to something like that. But dude, like these were like Ray Peat people, and things fell apart. And so it really made me question the possibility of doing something like that. And then at this point, I've done so much that I don't think I'd want to like jeopardize it unless there was like a really good reason to do that, because again, things can fall apart so fast. And even Ray, like somebody organized a phone call with Ray. It was like 10 people, and we were asking Ray about where to live. Like this was like in the midst of COVID, like where to live, what to do, etc. And even he said it was hard, and that's impactful because he would really never say stuff was hard, And so I remember towards the end, he was saying it's extremely difficult to organize. And dude, maybe for really healthy people, it's not, but I don't know where you're going to find those people because nobody's healthy.
Yeah. That's true.
Just trying to share positivity on here.
Right. I traveled before, just slide in with us. That it's like I was in these vegan communities when I was vegan. And that was the worst experience ever.
Yeah, like high degree of sociopathy, I think, in those communities, but that's probably just true for nutrition and like politics and stuff. It's just I'm not saying those people on the level don't exist, but it's just hard. And again, when it's your like not livelihood is not the right word, but like it's your foundation, you don't want to be, you want to be like negotiating. Like, for example, I'm in a situation where I'm on a well, but if shit hit the fan or something, I would not want to negotiate with some of my neighbors for access to this well, that could very well happen. And so I'm trying to think about that in the future. And then is the sound is low? Is my sound too low, guys?
I think you sound okay.
Okay. So I'm trying to think about in the future, like making myself independent from the well. And so anyways, like that's like a high priority to me is thinking about the future and then trying to adjust based on that. And I know some people say I'm crazy or whatever, but I think that's like a smart thing to do.
Hey, I had two quick ones.
Yes, sir.
Danny, have you ever heard of Cascara inducing constipation?
Something like that might happen if it lowered inflammation in the bowels. And so, like, for example, like in California, like people drink green drinks, and I think they like those green drinks because it causes a bowel movement. And I think it's the green leaves cause irritation, then bowel movement. And so sometimes when you reduce the irritation in the gut, then it will like switch a person over to constipation, like revealing how low their basal metabolic rate is. And so I have heard of people taking antibiotics or aspirin or progesterone. The first I've ever heard of Cascara doing it, but since it's an anti-inflammatory, like it seems completely reasonable that could cause it as well.
Okay, cool. And when someone is quite hypothyroid and experiences a trauma of some kind, and then they go into a kind of deeper, kind of more severe state where their anxiety is high and they're having even more digestive stress. In that situation, would you say maybe T3 should be stopped?
In my own experience, like whenever I would be doing something and I'd be headed in the wrong direction, I'm not even saying this is smart, but my immediate reaction would usually be to stop like everything and try to simplify. And like interpreting your own health is difficult. So it's like, and it's much more difficult when you have a bunch of inputs, and you don't know what it's doing. And so there were many times that I'd be taking T3 or Sinoplus or Sinomel or something, and I just absolutely feel terrible. And so my inclination was usually to stop everything, and that would free my mind up to help me kind of move forward. Like it was a therapeutic tool that I would lean on a lot. But I guess I would just be curious of like if it was helping or it was harming or it wasn't doing anything. Like I think if a person's going to take something every day, like they should probably be pretty sure that it's helping them. Like you shouldn't just do stuff arbitrarily because Ray Peat or me or Georgie or some other person on the internet forum said so.
Big thanks to Ray Peat, rest in peace, because he's the reason we're all here. And the last thing I wanted to say is, like, where's the best place for Peters, for lack of a better term, to communicate and meet each other? Do you think?
Great question. I really don't know, man. It's there are definitely like really good people on Twitter, like L I can't remember the rest of his handle, but he's really good. And then there's another guy with an F in his name that was really good, and like people that were really into race philosophy, and I really have no clue. Like it just seems, well, especially with forums, like forums always go bad. Like that's been like a true thing since I was in like high school. It's just the atmosphere of a forum always drifts towards like insanity, and it's kind of like performative. And Twitter is kind of the same way, but I don't know. There are like moments of Twitter that's like really fun, and then there's moments of it that are really bad. But it's I guess that's the best place. But I mean, that place will make you insane if you stay on it for too long.
Yeah, I experienced that in my short time on the forum from 2021 to like 2023, even in that short time. But so yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, Ray Peat forum was always bad. It was like there used to be another forum that was actually a little bit better called Peterian, because it had like a Reddit upvote downvote system, and then stupid stuff would get downvoted into oblivion, But like Ray Peat forum was a standard. I can't remember what the engine is called, but it was like a post on top of a post, And man, Charlie, like Charlie was always weird. He was always like odd, and I got a bad feeling about him immediately. And so like I'm not the least bit surprised how that forum turned out, because I got a bad vibe. Like Charlie had that Ray Peat right again emoji, and like the moment I saw that, I was like, okay, this is terrible. So bad. And but yeah.
All right. Thank you, Daddy.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yep. Yeah, you call. What's up?
So I'm referring back to a post you made on Telegram on 30th of October. You say, when I asked Ray Peat about why the media was suddenly allowed to talk about the deep state in 2016, he said, people always prefer surfaces, but now the surface is being slightly redefined. The same thing is happening with Jewish power. But since citizens don't threaten power in the slightest, we're allowed to endlessly engage in simulated activism while the ruling class finishes off the citizenry with their planned 10-year controlled demolition. At the moment, we're in the phase of economic annihilation. So I'm gonna ask you if you can elaborate a bit more on that, and like, what do you think awaits us in the future?
I'm just really stuck on coronavirus. You know, like I've been an old school conspiracy person for a long time. Like I started watching James Corbett's material in maybe like 2008, and that's pretty much when I started getting on YouTube. And so I've been inundated with the idea of like new world order, you know, for a really long time. And if you look at some of those older generative energies where it's just Ray and I'm like always talking to him about that, like eugenics, possibly through vaccination, talking about how the whatever you want to call them, power elite, or it doesn't matter, you know, oligarchs, whatever, how they wanted to subdue the citizenry like the moment they had the technology to do so. And so once coronavirus started, and I kind of lived through that experience, I literally have like PTSD from it. I'm kind of joking, but it changed me forever. And it is kind of like wild to me that I guess people just mentally note it and moved on, in the sense that they think that it doesn't mean something larger is happening, you know? And again, we talked with Ray about this like ad nauseum on the podcast, and I thought his thoughts on it were directionally right, that the oligarchs, the power elite, whatever, were trying to reduce the citizenry and then move them into a digital prison, you know? And with the Jewish power stuff, I mean, we talked with Ray about that. I was the one who asked him questions about it, you know? And I think that's something that was very taboo and you could not talk about it for a very long time. And then Twitter exploded, what was it, like about a year and a half ago, and then you could all of a sudden talk about it again. And obviously I think that's a good thing that you can talk about those things. And I guess maybe like my perception was that people would like negate the vaccine totalitarian spying stuff for just like thinking that was an op, and that it's all about Jewish power, I guess. And I saw that quite a bit, and like both could be true. Like, and so but I'm trying to remember you know what kind of spurred that tweet is I watched Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes interview, and they were both saying like how they were winning, like we were winning the cultural war. And I think that's insane. Like, because anything that happens on Twitter or the internet is like simulated. It's not real life. And so I think if a person thinks they're winning, like they spend way too much time on the internet, and they're not like looking at the price of their groceries. You know, you're losing like horribly, you know? And so again, that's what informs my worldview, is to prepare for things getting worse. And you really can't do anything about it because we don't affect the political system like whatsoever. And I mean, did people vote for Trump to be the first crypto president? Like, I don't think so. Like, did they vote for him to like unseal the Epstein files or whatever? Like, I mean, I don't know. I think a person would just have to be kind of like not engaged to think that we impacted the system. Like the system just moves on with or without us. Like it doesn't matter if you participate. And in fact, it's probably some like a cult ritual or something for us to participate in it. So anyways, those are my thoughts. But again, I'm coming from 2020 to 2025 getting worse, like not getting better. And then also don't like remember that a year ago, people were saying people are going to be in crystals and stuff like that. Like they won, and they're going to be mass immigration returning to different places, you know, and like none of that happened, you know? So anyways, I think politics is like breads and circuses for the masses. I don't think it really matters, and they're going to do whatever they're going to do.
Yep. Thank you so much. And also one more question. So there are a few books that Ray has written. Is there like an order in which one should go from to another, like someone who's just getting into Ray Peat? Because I think the best way to start would be nutrition for women, but I'm not really sure. I would like to get your thoughts on that as well.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think Nutrition for Women is probably the most approachable book. But I would just remember that there are some things that are slightly different in that one. Like he recommends eating sardines, and I obviously probably wouldn't recommend that in 2022. But yeah, it's like the same idea. And then if it's even better to probably read some Hans Selye's books at the same time, and then move into generative energy, or from PMS to menopause. And then minded tissue is like the hardest one to understand. Like I just recently went through it, and I think I understood like 50% of it. So it's but yeah, generative energy is good once you have like a good foundation. And then Nutrition for Women is a really good starting book. And then Hans Selye's, some of it, like Stress Without Distress, or the story of the stress of life or something. Those are good books as well.
One last thing, can you refer us again back to where you and Ray talked about the whole power system and the elite and the questions you were asking for? Are those on internet? I'm just interested to hear what Ray has had to say.
So I had like 2 phone call interviews with him on my Substack. There's actually a total of 3, and I think we talk about like so-called conspiracy stuff like every time, and they're like private calls. I'm actually just calling him because I was gonna write a new book, and I was like asking about like hair loss stuff and like if I was right, like in my general direction. And then we'd always just kind of devolve into asking about conspiracy stuff. But then there are maybe like 2 episodes on generative energy that are not the live stream. So you have to kind of go back further. There's like generative energy, like the proper podcast, which I edited. And then we started the live stream later, like maybe 2019 or 2020. And if you go farther back, there's one called like CIA. No, it's called like calcium phosphate CIA and like eugenics spy master Alan Dulles. And we talk about it like probably for a good third of it, the whole time. And so anyways, just to go back on your question again, I think people don't have like good conspiracy education, and so I think that's why people have gravitated so strongly to Jewish power stuff. And I'm not saying that it's wrong and they shouldn't do that, but I don't think that's all there is to like kind of the powers that be. Like I think it's slightly more complicated with the military industrial complex and stuff. So, but you'd get more of that with kind of old school James Corbett stuff of like he made a movie called like How Big Oil Conquered the World and Why Big Oil Conquered the World. And again, it's like just the idea of exterminating the peasants has been such a long held elite belief, and I think it's playing out right now.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, boy. Oh, hey, somebody has a bad microphone. Is that you, Solomon? I'm going to go ahead and mute you. Happy to answer anybody else's question. Probably go for another. No, go ahead.
I was just curious, like, is that thing with the FDA and like ordering thyroid still going on, or like where are people getting their thyroid these days?
I've heard bad stories about almost every pharmacia. So the good old days might be over, and it's pretty worrying. That's just unraveled in maybe the last month or 2.
And what do you think about Idea Labs thyroid products?
People are gonna think I'm motivated to say this or whatever, but like, there are probably ways to make those safe. Like for example, his Taurine product, like if it was half a microgram per drop, it might be okay. And I do hear people saying they have better experiences on his Tyro Mix product, the 3 and 6, but I think I posted about it. But I talked to a woman who almost died taking them, so I'm really hesitant to ever mention them.
So, like, where are people like getting them from a different place, or?
No, I don't know what the alternative is right now. It's I've been trying to tell people a long time that there would be a day that you probably would not be able to order it. But I'm like they didn't run out. They were not available in 2015 for about an entire year. At least Sinomel was, and I remember a lot of people freaking out about it. And hopefully that's just the case this time. But it seems different. It's not the manufacturer can't make the product. It's something with the shipping. Like the pharmacists are saying they are not going to ship to the U.S. And so I as of right now, I do not know what the answer is.
I think the French company has shut down very recently. Maybe that has something to do with it.
It's possible. I'm not sure.
Hey, Danny, how do you make your drip coffee? Do you use a bleached filter?
I use it. I make it pretty much exactly how there's like a few coffee videos on my YouTube, and I make it almost identical to maybe the last one I did, where I have like a organic cotton sock, and they're kind of annoying, but you just have to clean them after. And because I save the grinds for trees and shit, but anyways, I'll just put a cotton sock in, put the grounds in, then I'll slowly warm up the water in the microwave instead of doing it on the stovetop. So I'll put it in for like a cup in for 20 seconds. I'll pour half of it on the grinds. Then I'll put it in for another 20 seconds, put it on half the grinds. Then I'll fill the water back up for a cup and then put it in for a minute and a half and then pour it on the grinds and then do the last one as boiling. And I think I sent one of those videos to Ray one time and I was like, is this how you make your coffee? And he's like, looks like it. I might have been really off.
And does it matter what kind of coffee you use?
I mean, it should taste good. I mean, that's probably the main things. I like, and I think French roast has like technically more magnesium, but I like hate French roast. But yeah, just probably taste is probably the most important thing. Happy to answer any other questions, guys, or maybe I'll go through the chat here.
Can I contribute?
Yeah. What's up?
So you mentioned earlier workplace related stress. And so I just left this job a couple weeks ago, but for the last 2 years, I was actually working in a retail pharmacy. And the first year working there, I had noticed some symptoms, but I was in a totally different health space at the time. And I didn't know how to interpret what it was. But after really taking a deep dive into Ray and then realizing that his explanation for things was actually explaining my situation, that's what really shifted me. And the one thing that was a major contributor to my symptoms, particularly migraines, were really strong overhead fluorescence.
Oh, interesting.
And things like aspirin and progesterone really helped. But taking my pulse and my temperature, I noticed the migraines were becoming more and more frequent with continual exposure. And like the morning after, it would really, really set in. And my temperature was going from like a maybe 97.8 or something upon waking down to like 96 just following a day that I went to work.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was one of the major reasons that I left. It wasn't the job itself per se, but the environment, kind of diagnosing that. And, there was a lot of stuff that helped, but I was wondering if you know anything about that, like what could possibly counteract the damage? Because it seemed like sometimes I would take aspirin and it would work, or sometimes I would take progesterone and it would work to knock out a migraine. But sometimes I felt like there was maybe another factor that wasn't being addressed. So I was experimenting with more sunlight exposure and things like that to kind of counteract it. But I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
I used to work at Apple retail. This was like back in like 2007, 8, 9. And when it was in a mall, and when I'd be walking to the store, I'd start like feeling sick, because and then I don't think I was thinking about it at the time, but dude, there's like 100 more than 100 computers in there, all with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. There's all the phones were in there post 2007, and like I don't think it was in my imagination that I felt bad. Like there was like a physiological thing, and plus you're at work and you have to do stuff you don't want to do. And, yeah, like that's actually where I kind of started experimenting with race stuff. and drinking milk like throughout my shift, and I thought that helped. But this is like probably the least practical thing ever. But I remember because I was in Southern California, I would go to a parking lot, like a raised parking lot, and I would sit on the top of the like the building, and I'd like take off my shirt and like sunbathe during my lunch break. And I remember that being like the most powerful thing that I could possibly do. But they started seeing me there and kicking me out. But it was, I remember like if I did that, like the next 4 hours would be like nothing. Like it was such a powerful break, you know, in my work shift. But yeah, dude, stuff like that, that's like inescapable stress. It's so bad, especially with the lights and stuff. And like for what it's worth, if I do something stressful these days, I'd probably take like an extra aspirin or something. But I think there's like only so much you can do, and to just kind of like power through it. And like you don't know how many people I've talked to that it's clearly their job or their like husband or wife that's like the problem, you know. But those are the hardest things to like actually get out of, you know. Like you can't just get a divorce or quit your job, and so it's but yeah, I think about those things a lot because this kind of goes back into earlier, but you just never know how those things are factoring into a person's life. Like if they hate their job all the time, like will they ever solve any type of health problem they have? Probably not, you know?
Yeah. Really interesting. I was blessed to be in a situation where I could step away from the job, but I put up with it for a really long time. And it took some convincing from a friend actually who has epilepsy. And we were talking about the similarities between things that trigger his seizures and things that trigger my migraines. Except one thing that he has that's unique is smells. But he said, you know, if this is constantly triggering migraines, I want you to consider the possible long-term damage that this could produce. And when he said that, it started to make sense. Like the patterns that I was seeing, they seem to be just getting worse. Like I said, therapies that were helpful, but the migraines were becoming more intense, more frequent. My temperatures were getting lower just by going to work. And it's been it's maybe been over a month now. And I feel so much sharper. And a lot of other symptoms have either become more manageable or virtually disappeared. And my memory is getting like so much better. It's actually a really great thing.
Nice, man. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Like you've probably explored like your blood sugar getting too low. I think that's like a kickoff to migraine, right? Ray talked about that a bunch.
Yeah, I was taking like orange juice to work every day, and my coworkers are like, "You're so healthy." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks, guys." But some of my other coworkers had the same issue with migraines, and because it was for it was a corporate job, there wasn't anything we could do. They wouldn't even let us dim the lights because people think that we're closed and we can't turn away a buck. But I was trying to give them advice like I could, but things like ice cream after work that were clean was very helpful as well. So I learned a lot from the experience, but it's just something we should be aware of because, like you said, it's really hard to even walk into a mall these days. Like I instantly start to feel sensitive to it, and if I don't get out of there quick, it's pretty rough.
Yeah. For me, it's more of an aesthetic thing. Like I don't know if you saw on my Telegram, I posted some photos of where I removed the track lighting, and this was like an insane thing to do. Like I installed my own electrical system like over the existing house system. But it was mostly to like just change the light to incandescence because I'm in the kitchen a lot. But just the look of them like is irritating. And so like the blueness of them. And then when I first moved here, I was in a house that had all LEDs, and there was a spectrum of depression. But I would get just like pissed off living in the house. Like it was just not fun ever. And so, yeah, dude, the aesthetics of the light and obviously the physiological is totally not talked about. I mean, a lot of people talk about light. It's not under addressed, but yeah, just being in public places, of course.
Right. All right. Well, thanks a lot. We can get the next person on.
Cool. Cheers.
Hi, is my mic good now?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, so what should a person do who is sensitive to even low doses of thyroid, like even like 5 milligrams? of Cyano Plus?
Like 5 milligrams weight on a scale?
Yeah, weight on a scale.
The thing I've talked about the most is that, like, there's a paper by a guy named Menoff, and it talks about how thyroid function and adrenaline have like an inverse relationship. And so when the thyroid function is low, the adrenaline is really high. And Ray had been quoted a few times saying it was 30 to 40 times the amount that a normal person had. And so when a person, I think, will take thyroid hormone, a lot of times they'll be sensitizing them to the adrenaline, and they'll just have an absolutely terrible time. And so, for example, I have known people that would, their like dose of T3 was like 0.5 micrograms. And so, but in that situation, I think they just have to figure out how to get to the adrenaline down. So whether it's like 2 grams of calcium per day, it's large doses of vitamin K2, progesterone can sometimes help, even large doses sometimes for a man. And it's just trying to figure out what lower, or cyproheptadine, like what lowers the stress enough to where a person could hopefully have like a good experience on thyroid hormone.
You said on a call that aspirin helps with that.
It can. I'm like, it can. Just probably lowering the free fatty acids probably helps, but it's not like the first thing I think of. Because a lot of low thyroid people have bad responses to aspirin. Like, so it's kind of hit or miss. I love aspirin. It's one of my favorite things, but I've actually had a lot of bad experiences with it early on. It seemed to make me real edgy, and like later, it seemed to have a complete opposite effect. But anyways, it could be something to try if a person has access to it.
Do you think niacinamide is worth it?
Yeah, something like that as well. 100%.
Especially if the pee is cloudy.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard the earlier, but that I think that's appropriate. I mean, it's so cheap and safe. Like it's like a no-brainer.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I know you want to get off soon, Danny. I just think Alina in the chat had a question quite a while ago, and she didn't get to ask if she wants to ask it again.
Let me check here. Who is it from?
Hey, thank you.
Oh, Alina, what's going on?
Actually posted my question in chat, but wanted to ask it in voice better. I'm curious, what do you think of the current trend with medicine dedicated to errors of metabolism, kind of what Chris Masterdon is inspecting, but really a lot of people? Do you think it's a rabbit hole worth going into?
He's focusing on genetic stuff?
Yeah, like kind of inborn errors of metabolisms, like going through different, like, for example, like pentose phosphate cycle, and just understanding where you have bottlenecks. Or like, do you still think that thyroid is the major thing guiding it all, or is it worth inspecting your individual differences?
In my limited experience of kind of like being in the health world, I think that stuff is a road to nowhere. But like getting that granular with it, like the pentose phosphate pathway, and like trying to take a supplement to influence it, I think the person's lost the plot at that point. And I love Chris. I think he's a genius. I met him in 2011. He's been on Generative Energy, and he's always had like a penchant for stuff like that, but I just don't see much value in it, but if somebody did see value in it, I would encourage them to explore it. But I don't think stuff like that plays out very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a sort of hierarchy in terms of which animals are good to have around you versus ones that are neutral versus harmful? I hear bad things about cats, but I can't tell if it's conspiracy or not.
Well, it's funny because somebody I was talking to asked Ray, they were like really sick, and should they get a dog? And Ray like strongly encouraged them not to. Like he was like in a city where a dog has to be walked, it will take over your life. And he's completely right, And I think I'm kind of speculating here, but since he had like multiple cats, I think he liked cats, and cats are obviously like their own people. They don't need you as much as a dog does, but yeah, I mean, I have such little experience with like not many types of animals, but I mean, the dogs are a complete handful. Like they're like having little kids, and I'm sure if I had 6 cats, like it would not be as hard, but I think Ray also said that dogs could carry specific germs that were harmful. And so I have not explored that. But are you talking about the toxoplasmosis with the cats thing?
Yes, I saw some article about some possible correlation between schizophrenia and toxoplasmosis, and it got me worried. But also, health articles are clickbait a lot of the time.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Maybe that's possible, but it's funny because like when I lived here alone with the chickens, like like the idea of having dogs or something just seemed totally annoying, and now I couldn't even imagine life without them, But again, I have like a big property they can run around on and stuff. If I was in an apartment, it would be absolutely terrible.
I think everyone should get at least 20 goats.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, good.
Hey, Danny.
Yo.
I just wanted to say thanks for all your stuff. I had quite a good experience getting onto thyroid for a few different things. I got temperature. I think I resonated a lot with you. Said of just being freezing all the time. That could never really do anything. But sort of got the temperature up and I was underweight, put on a lot of good weight, sort of like Ray described as well. People that are underweight, people don't think they could be hypothyroid. And then I put on just filling out weight from that. But then this year had some random like dizziness, and the doctor just said it's vertigo. Nervous to eat too much liver. I know that you said if you're not doing well on like the thyroid, have some oysters and liver and then go back and see if you feel any better. But yeah, I don't know if you have any ideas. I don't have, high pulse or anything like that from it. But I wonder if I almost want to try going off the thyroid for a bit just to see if the sort of dizziness or vague headache thing goes away.
Yeah, like I've definitely heard of people taking small amounts of T3 and then getting vertigo real bad. And like, in fact, I've been talking to somebody for a long time that was one of his main issues. And then he found that taking cipreptidine like eliminated it. And so like he thought it was he was running on some stress hormone that was really hard to suppress. And I guess by taking cipreptidine, he lowered it. And the only other thing I could think of is, so I used to do like a group coaching thing not too long ago. And then sometimes Ray's like lifelong friend Dodie would jump on the call and somebody was talking about vertigo and Dodie just was like endotoxin. And she, I guess, had talked to Ray about it many times that or disorientation or something with your like ability to like that type of symptom is like always related to endotoxin. So I don't have much experience with it, but I mean, obviously she had such close contact with Ray. It's probably just as good as if it had come from him.
Okay, appreciate it. It did, yeah, that comes up a lot. I did manage to get some, like you mentioned as well, from the doctor. You can get them to prescribe the antibiotic if you want, and had that experience as well. So I managed to get quite a bit of doxycycline from them. Yeah, but it didn't have any profound effects. But yeah, okay, appreciate it.
Yeah, so sometimes cipreptidine and antibiotics have different effects, but yeah, that's that. Obviously, your inclination to lower the dose if you thought it was harming you is probably a good one.
I'll try it. The only thing I'll say about the Cipro is I feel like you've described you feel on it. If I take it, I can't work the next day.
Yeah, I tried to get I was taking like 0.25 milligrams for a long time. And it was kind of hard to detect, but eventually I was like, you're like useless the next day when you take it.
No, complete, and also not a lot of fun to be around.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Danny. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, we'll go another, 10, 20 minutes or so, but if you guys go ahead.
Danny, just on the Cascara, I think it's been asked a bit this call. I jumped on it straight away when Ray mentioned it a few years back. And I seem to have like a heavy histamine reaction to it. So it didn't have like the therapeutic result. Have you heard of any adverse reactions from someone taking it, and perhaps what it could be?
When you say histamine, like it just like made your nose stuffy and like a obvious reaction?
No, histamine for me more comes out in like a hives kind of a fashion. So more like a skin situation. So for me, what comes up is like gut irritation, which seemed a bit counterintuitive given what Cascara is supposed to be doing. So I just stopped it immediately, and then it kind of went away. So it kind of just seemed to correlate with prior histamine reactions. So that's the best hypothesis I had, but to look into it further after that.
What is your bowel function like without it?
I think for the average person, good. For Danny, probably not good. So,
well, don't tell Twitter, because Twitter is only having one bowel movement per day, maybe.
No, that's why I say tongue in cheek. So it's more like, as I say, above average for the normal person. So it'd be pretty good. But I think in this world, probably want it slightly higher.
Yeah, I'm not like it's not like inconceivable to me somebody would have a bad experience with that. Like some people find it to be too aggressive, for promoting bowel movements. And like that's one of those things that kind of similar to antibiotics that will like sometimes change a person's life. So I think it's worth trying. But if you have some odd reaction to it, like I think investigating thyroid is like the thing that solves constipation. I was talking to a girl in New Jersey, and she had like lifelong constipation. And she started taking, I think it was like 10 micrograms of T3 3 times per day. And like on one of the calls, she just like moved past the topic, but she was asking me about other stuff. And it was kind of classic because this has happened before, but it just solved her constipation. She never brought it up again. So, but yeah, when somebody doesn't do well on some like kind of reliable Ray Peat intervention, like I think it's just good to sideline it and maybe return to it later. I mean, that's like the story of everything with my relationship with what Ray said. Like, I don't think I did well on anything he ever said. And it was always lots of troubleshooting and trying to figure it out and why I did not do well with it, because I had lots of confidence in him. And so, but yeah, it was very frustrating.
Cool. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate the answer and appreciate the time.
What are your thoughts on eating a carrot before going to sleep?
Somebody said this on like a Facebook group like years ago, but they said it could lower their blood sugar if they did that. And I've noticed the exact same thing. Like if you eat the carrot right before bed, sometimes it would cause me to wake up at like 3 a.m. in a panic. And so, and I think antibiotics can do that too. They can lower the blood sugar. So that's what I assumed was happening. So I never eat it before bed, but I've talked to some people that seem to not bother them, but I've kind of like learned I don't eat the mushrooms before bed either.
You said that this girl, she cured her constipation with 10 milligrams 3 times a day of T3. I have this Taurine product. I haven't taken it really, like the Georgie thing. It says 8 micrograms, I mean, per drop. But do you have people who had like really bad reactions to his stuff, even the T3, or was that the mix or the max?
Well, I think it goes back to what we talked about before with the adrenaline. So like if somebody has bad adrenaline, like they might have a bad reaction to like 1 microgram of T3. So you really can't know, Yeah. But that was kind of my criticism of that product. It's 8 micrograms of T3, and for somebody with high adrenaline, that might cause them to go crazy. Like it might cause their heart to beat out of their chest, like and feel terrible. And so it's like when you have high adrenaline, you have to be like crazy careful. And when the product kind of like doesn't really facilitate a person being careful, like when it's 8 micrograms per drop. And then the other thing is it absorbs really quickly. So there's a old Ray Peat quote, maybe like 2014, where he thought that thyroid should not be in a liquid and because it absorbs too quickly. So what the name of the game with thyroid is to try to slow it down as much as possible. And so, but yeah, just because you can't modulate it easy is like the big problem with those products, I think.
Yeah, I see. What would be like the next best thing? Like, is there anything even like that could come close to the power of thyroid then? Because if you can't get it like where I am, probably I don't think it's possible to get it shipped here from Mexico or whatever.
I think calcium and vitamin D are like the poor man's thyroid, and those are really valuable. And I mean, yeah, I mean, it like you said, it just depends what you have access to. Trying the things Ray talked about, and just trying to do the best you can, But yeah, there's like a reason why Broda Barnes had like such good success with one therapy, and I'm like just fascinated with that. Like, and I think that's played out in real life. And then I kind of think about my own experience, and like on early episodes of Generative Energy, Georgie would sometimes say like, you can take methylene blue so you don't have to take thyroid. And I think I would have like a knee-jerk reaction to that, because that I don't think that's true. You know, maybe it's true for Georgie, but that was definitely not true for me. And I don't think it's replaceable, you know, but again, you just have to do the best you can.
Yeah, I do have like vitamin D. I've been taking 50,000 units per day lately. And K2 also.
Nice.
Do you think it's good to take magnesium like oral?
Yeah, it's one of those supplements that seems to benefit almost everybody. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Cool.
Yep.
Oh, and one more thing, like if you have tremors in your hand, would that be like a sure sign of high adrenaline?
I think so. I've had those when taking too much thyroid. I've had those when taking no thyroid. So yeah, it seems overstimulation from stress or just taking a whopping dose of thyroid.
Yeah.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
So I got a question. I put my question in the chat there, but I'll just.
There's a high likelihood that I don't get to any of those.
Yeah, no. That's why I decided to jump on. So yeah, I just kind of like I'll kind of briefly just describe. So I've been kind of following a Peat inspired approach for the last 4 years. I started working with Jay Feldman about 4 years ago, working with him for about 3 years. I think Jay helped me a lot. I was like very low carb in my 20s and, you know, did a bunch of, you know, just like whatever, partied a lot, all that stuff. So it was really recovering. Yeah, but I ended up gaining around 20-ish pounds. And I kind of got to the point where I was just not feeling so good at that weight. I was about 195 pounds. I'm pretty short. I'm like 5'6". And yeah, just kind of feeling like, you know, maybe like high estrogen. Was taking around like, I'd say I was taking quite a few supplements, probably too many. And, and then, anyway, I actually stopped working with Jay just because I felt like I needed a bit higher touch point. And Harrison Ben's also a good buddy of mine. So ended up working with him like pretty closely. And Harry definitely like helped me a lot. He kind of we simplified a lot of things, like, you know, limited supplements, basically only started taking like glycine, taurine, magnesium, some eggshell calcium, and a little bit of thyroid, like 5 micrograms. I was taking like 20-30 micrograms at a time. But then I started like, you know, my goal was to lose weight, and I was limiting calories and also moving my body a bit more. Obviously not doing it in like an extreme way, but, you know, like a way where I was at least starting to lose a little bit of weight. I lost like 25 pounds working with Harry over like 6 months, and I've just started feeling way better. I know this like low calorie, you know, move a lot more approach is not really very peaty or you know, the way I guess a lot of people kind of talk about like in the Peat world. So I'm just kind of curious, like, what's your take on cases like mine where, you know, just start eating a lot of food and then gaining like a little bit too much weight, and then obviously like the only thing that started working for me was you know, limiting calories and moving my body a bit more.
Have you taken your underarm temperature?
Yeah, I typically like haven't done it in a while, but I was taking my temperature in the morning, not underarm, but like under my tongue, and I was around like 97 to like 97.3 right when I wake up. And then it would go up to like 98 during the day, around there.
If it was oral, usually the oral is like a degree or two above the armpit.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you wanted to give it another go, you could test the armpit. But the reason why I'm talking about this is I think like any effort to lose weight when the metabolism is real low. So if you're waking up at in the 97s, maybe it was not really 96, you know, under the armpit. And I mean, that would be pretty low rate of metabolism. You know, that's pretty bad. And I would just expect like anything that you were trying to do would just be this extreme uphill battle. And like a person can lean on stress heavily and restrict their food or restrict some macronutrient and they can lose weight. But like, I mean, everybody knows this, but they just usually just rebound pretty badly, you know? Yeah. And so anyways, I think like the smart way to approach it is just to include the metabolism with with the whole effort. And but I mean, this is not just me saying this. There are articles once by Landsberg, and they say I spam it everywhere, but they say the title of the paper is like body temperature, the forgotten variable in obesity. And there's a lot of papers talking about how just people with hypothyroidism like can't lose weight. It's extremely difficult for them. And that's what you hear from everybody middle aged. Like they could lose weight, now they can't. And I think that's because the stress is so dominant at that point in their life that it becomes almost impossible. Right. But also, I just don't think I could talk to you because Harrison is he's one of my sworn enemies. Just joking. Just joking. No, I'm just joking. I haven't talked to him I was actually talking to him and his wife about doing like a homesteading thing, like in the midst of COVID. Like he's like a very good friend of mine.
Nice. Yeah. Same. Yeah. We're both from Toronto, and we talk a lot about a lot of that too.
I hope I didn't dodge your question, but that including that stuff is the most important, I think.
Cool. Yeah, no, I know it's a very complex thing. And, Harry's take was mostly that I was probably taking too many supplements and revving the metabolism and trying to be a little like over, like a little bit too like pro-metabolic, let's say. And that caused me to have even higher adrenaline. So
you could go get some lab tests just to kind of like lay things out, like the TSH, the total cholesterol, the vitamin D, the prolactin, the parathyroid hormone. Like those would all be relevant to weight loss. Like for example, if your parathyroid hormone is high or something like that, that's associated with metabolic syndrome, and it would be extraordinarily difficult to lose weight if that hormone was high. And so, I mean, there's just kind of like an intelligent way to do this that that would just make things easier, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I was taking labs with Jay, and I was generally I was over 2 when I started with him, but then taking the thyroid, I was down to like 1. But parathyroid, I think I tested. Anyway, I know this could go deeper and deeper, but yeah, I appreciate I'll start to check the body temp a bit more and see where I'm at there.
I think labs are nice, but the body temperature is like, especially under the armpit, is like the real deal. Like I think that's like the least likely test to lie to you. And then you could take your pulse at the same time to corroborate the armpit temperature. But yeah, dude, if it's much under like 36.6 in the morning, and then it should rise to 37 in the afternoon, everything's going to be hard, I think.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Appreciate it, man. I'll let someone know.
Cheers. Yep.
It's interesting just chiming in after he did, because I'm hearing him listening. He's working with Jay for like 3 years, going through that process, gained a bunch of weight. I've coincidentally also been working with one of Jay's sub coaches for the last like 3 or 4 months. And I've been in this Peat world for probably 6 or 8 months. And all I've done is gain weight. And I feel like, everything I'm doing, like we're doing a bunch of different stuff, and you can definitely see movement in different areas, but like it feels like we're trying to do everything except take thyroid. And I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if I'm too new to this world, but that's what it feels like. So I'm frustrated myself just listening to that, because I'm like, my God, I'm in this 6 months. Am I going to pay this much money for coaching for 3 years and just be fat? Like it's an interesting experience.
This is kind of like the story of the Ray Peat universe. And like for 15 years, like it's so common for people because you don't like really end up at Ray Peat. It's not like your first person you get into, it's normally like veganism or low carb or keto or carnivore or whatever. And so normally a person has like some level of like metabolic damage in general, or their metabolism is very low. And then I think like they'll eat to appetite, or they'll just eat the foods that Ray is talking about, and then they'll just gain a bunch of weight. Because if you like drink some milk and drink some orange juice, like your metabolic rate doesn't just like shoot up.
Right.
Like the stress a person has accumulated over their life is still exists most of the time, And so again, this is like people think I'm so black-pilled or whatever, but I like talking about how bad things are. Like diet is just one tool in the toolbox. And to think to only use that, or to only use like kind of the supplements that people often talk about, like I think that's like impotent. Like it's just like you could go outside and breathe in a bunch of exhaust, like that's bad for your thyroid. Like it's just the environment is too shitty. And again, like Jay's not a doctor, I'm not a doctor. You can't tell a person to take thyroid, so it's especially his hands are very tied, But like I think not. Like I don't know. I've never coached with him. I don't know his process, but like I think Broda had success with thyroid for a reason. I don't think it's replaceable, And then if the metabolism is really low, like I think it's extremely difficult to get it up with just food alone or just over the counter supplements that people use.
Yeah, that's been my experience. I mean, my temperature, I need to go more to underarm because I've done the same thing, just oral. And like you're saying, if oral's low, then like, my God, my after 6 or 8 months of this, and I'm gaining weight, temperature's not moving, and it's like, yeah, all right, well, what are we? I'm covering all the spectrums here in terms of nutrition. I'm taking every B vitamin, B, A, D, K, like the whole spectrum, right? And you're doing all of it, and then nothing moves, and you're just like, okay, so when do we step on the gas pedal? Like, is now a good time to start stepping up? They seem hesitant for some reason. It's just interesting as to why,
There are some. I asked Ray on one of the podcasts. I was like, why do people have such a bias towards thyroid? And I'm not biased, like an anti stance towards it. And like, I don't know, but I might be too much the other way.
Right.
Like, because I felt like it saved my life, like I don't dabble in it. Like, I need it to function, like I heavily rely on it. And so if somebody maybe didn't have that same experience, maybe they'd think it was just like another supplement or something. But again, my experience like mimics like Barnes's. And so, but yeah, dude, it's like being in the Ray Peat space for a long time. There's obviously some like bent against it. And again, it's complicated. We're not doctors. Like Jake can't tell somebody to take it, but at least like push a person in the direction of going to a naturopath or going to a doctor to get a prescription for armor or something like that. Like because again, you could like literally you could coach with me for 10 years. And if it was like diet only, like we both just give up,
yes.
Yeah. So, and that's especially true for somebody over 30 or over 40 or something. And then when I asked Ray, I said, would most people over 20 or 25 benefit from thyroid? He's like, yeah. So anyways, but yeah, it's a scary thing for a lot of people. And maybe you have to like work yourself there through experiences and yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just running out of levers to pull, it feels like. And what's interesting is that now in the coaching, it's like, he's not coming out and straight up saying like cut your calories, but he's saying let's focus on lowering potential energy intake. And I'm like, but why am I trying to take in more energy? Like that's the root of the problem. Like, why am I going to eat the food? Like it feels like we're just again trying to like subtly pull a lever rather than just come out and say what we're doing, rather than to look at the root cause of the actual problem, right? So and I mean, I know that I'm broken, like beyond belief. I'm 42 years old. I've been fat my entire life. Like, I'm over 300, I'm like 302 pounds now at 6'1". Like, I'm a big dude and have been for a lot of my life. So I realize and recognize I'm trying to undo a lot of fuckery for the last 30 plus years of my life. That's not going to happen overnight. I totally get that. I just would love to see something move in the right direction, other than my glucose response, which has been better since I reintroduced carbs, but I feel like that's kind of just baseline. So after that, I'm like, man, what other supplements can we take or do besides, how do we start moving this weight off? Like, I don't want to go, pick up retatrutide and start, doing that to get the weight off. But I'm like, I got to do something to get this weight off, or I'm just going to be fat my entire existence. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah, I feel kind of lucky because I had gone through multiple modalities before getting to Ray, and in the early interviews that I would listen to him, he was so like nonchalant about taking thyroid, and I was like, man, I've never heard anybody be that way about it. Like it was such like a normal thing to do according to him, and like in paleo and low carb, it was always like this big mysterious venture to like try to get your doctor to prescribe it or whatever, and so anyways, like a person's allowed to feel however they want about it, but again, I'm with you, dude. I'm 40. Like I cannot imagine not taking it. It's like 40-year-old me would like punch my 20-year-old self in the face. Like I didn't know the difference between decades of life. I mean, it's just, everything's harder, so it's, the thyroid doesn't make life put on an easy mode, but it makes it approachable, whereas you can easily just completely be crushed by the stress of life.
Right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the feedback, Danny. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. I'll probably get going in 5 or 10 minutes, but happy to answer any other questions.
Hi, Danny.
Yo.
Hi. Just wondering about sleep and like if you think it's a good idea to sleep in complete darkness, or if it matters, or yeah, just your thoughts on that. Because I sometimes sleep with like a little red light on, and I'm not really sure why I do it, but I kind of like it. But I just wondered what your thoughts are.
Yeah, like I think Ray was the only person I've ever heard say that you could sleep with the light on and that would mitigate the stress of night. And I tried that and it was almost impossible to get to bed. So I haven't done it for a long time. But my mini split broke, and so I can't. The heat pump function doesn't work, and so I've been keeping like two lights on in my room. And the nights that I keep them on in my room, granted, it doesn't get that cold in Mexico. It gets about I don't know, like high 30s Fahrenheit here. But the nights I keep the room warm, my sleep is definitely a lot better. But the lights are farther away from me. But anyways, I think it's like a personal preference thing. Like whatever made you sleep better is probably the right way to go on that.
Yeah. What kind of lights are they that you have on?
I spammed the link everywhere, but it's like the Premier One Supplies lights that
Right.
they're like for chickens.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think I've seen them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Cheers.
Yeah. I sometimes have like I'm still trying to work out like what helps me sleep best. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Sleep is difficult. A long time ago, I think one of my like the guests on Generative Energy, they said like sleep is a high energy activity. And so if your gut is messed up, if your vitamin D level is low, if you didn't get enough calcium during the day, if you eat too much protein at nighttime, if your thyroid is just generally low and your adrenaline is high at night, like there's like 1,000 different things that will interfere with
Yeah.
sleep, you know? And so
Yeah.
it's like a whack-a-mole, just like trying to systematically go through one by one and seeing which one
Yeah.
applies most to you. For example, my gut was a total nightmare for a long time. And I remember nobody needed to tell me this. If my gut was really upset, I just would not be sleeping. Like I just knew it inherently, you know? And, but yeah, the chemicals from the intestine, the serotonin, the endotoxin, those cause wakefulness, histamine. And so it's a huge process of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I sometimes take, I started taking taurine. I would just like mix it in orange juice. Just because, yeah, I saw in a few places it was meant to help with sleep. And I don't know if it was placebo, but it seemed to kind of help.
Nice.
Have you ever tried taurine or?
Dude, before I knew who Ray Peat was, I used to hang out on like bodybuilding forums, and there was a poster that was kind of similar to Georgie, like ultra intelligent, and she was a chemist, and she used to all these guys were damaged by steroids, and she would tell them about taking taurine, and so I took a large amount of it. It mostly irritated my gut at the time, but I have not tried it since, and I do hear people benefit from it, so I just haven't tried it in more than 10 years probably.
Hey, Danny, what's the best form of birth control?
I'm not totally sure, but I think in the email wiki, Ray talked about a cervical cap, like rubbing progesterone on a cervical cap, but I don't have much experience with it.
Hi, Danny.
Yo.
I just had a quick question about iron.
Okay. Sure.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's so much information about, lowering iron. And to keep this like brief, I had a lot of injury. We spoke before. This is Kristen.
Oh yeah, of course.
Hey, I have to actually set up a session with you, but this is just kind of a preview. There's been so much about iron, like keeping it low, and I was drinking milk with like tea after eating steak and all those things. But I had a slew of injuries, and I had a few like in the last 10 years where I lost a lot of blood. And I started to have all these like iron deficiency symptoms. And I went through a 3-week period where I couldn't eat any meat and had digestive issues for like all of last year. And I started eating oysters and like just really trying to up my iron to see if it made a difference. And I was to the point where like, I was like almost fainting, I was like, couldn't walk up a hill, like crazy stuff. And I started eating the oysters and steak, and like my nails are growing again and my energy is better. So I just wanted to see your take on that, because like, is it possible that you've just like, like had injuries, digestion stuff, malabsorption, and then blocking iron with things like, Ray Peat stuff could cause a deficiency?
Yeah, like I talked to somebody that had pretty bad colitis, and they were obviously had blood in their stool like very frequently, and they seemed like they legitimately had iron deficiency anemia. But yeah, I mean the proof is in the pudding. If you ate those foods and it made you feel significantly better, and they come with a generous amount of copper, like in addition to the iron, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
I don't think the point is to like avoid all iron or anything like that.
Yeah, the crazy thing is like, I'll tell you more about it, but like my nails started cracking and they got spooning, and they were white. The underneath my eyes, the eyelids were white. Like I had no color in my lips, like crazy kind of stuff. And I was having like digestive stuff and bloating, and then eating the iron, like all that stuff went away.
Nice. Yeah, no, that
does that make sense? So because I'm so scared about eating too much iron now, No,
I for what it's worth, I think that's like the last thing on the list to be worried about. Like it's not even really on my radar when I'm talking to people.
Okay. And just last question. So thyroid function, like I feel like my sleep is better after I eat iron. So with that, it basically impacts the ability to make T3, right?
The not sleeping impacts the ability.
No, the iron, lack of iron.
Oh, yeah. I need to read up on that, but no, I think iron has some pivotal role in thyroid metabolism. It's the conversion from T4 to T3. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, I think in the liver too or something. But okay, I just wanted to check and see. Thank you so much, and
yeah, of course.
Thank you for doing this. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Total pleasure. Yeah. Yo. You know what? Give me 1 second. I gotta go a little bit.
Is that like a cue or?
No, you're good. Give me 1 second here. Give me like I'll be right back.
Sure.
This is awesome, guys. It's like almost like the good old days.
Yeah, it's nice. Hi, everybody.
Hello. How many of you guys woke up hungry today after Thanksgiving?
I did because I don't have iron.
I did because I didn't have
for what it's worth.
Yeah, we don't have it either.
I'm pretty sure I actually did like I'm like 5 years into Ray Peat, and I'm pretty sure I did actually also like crash out my iron.
Really?
Yeah, I definitely didn't have any symptoms nearly as severe as you were going on about. But I realized for a second, I'm like, I've been eating a like wildly iron deficient diet intentionally for 5 years, and yeah, like I started craving like a bunch of molasses, and that basically did the trick. Like I just ate a couple jars of molasses.
Okay.
And then I started feeling fine. I don't know if that was.
That's a really good idea. I have some actually from the farmer's market with like ginger and lemon and stuff. But I was afraid to take it because Ray was saying it's carcinogenic. So,
I mean, there's a bunch of heavy metals in it probably. So I don't know if like you would want to build your diet around always eating molasses. But you know. I'm sorry, Danny, go ahead.
Danny, we hijacked your.
No worries. There used to be that same blogger I talked about, Matt Stone. He popularized taking molasses, and I remember like everybody was taking it, and like I don't remember hearing any bad stories about it, but it was. I think somebody bounced off Ray, and he was like, "I don't know if that's safe to take every day or something."
Yeah, you think it's safe for short term though?
I have not looked into it for such a long time. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Can I just ask a quick question, Mr. Chicken Farmer?
Yeah, sure.
So you wrote that because I mean, like, I want to start drinking milk, but obviously I can't tolerate it. So I don't know what to do first, either to, make thyroid work first, or try like high dose progesterone. Like I'm confused how to the steps. Like, do I take antibiotics, then take high dose progesterone, then try milk, or you wrote that some guy took high doses of progesterone, and I wanted to try that, but I don't know when you say high, what is high? Is it like, I remember Ray mentioned 100 milligrams, but everyone is different. So what's your take on that?
It wasn't me that found it, but somebody found a paper. I think they posted on Twitter, and then I reposted it maybe on Telegram. And it showed that estrogen like decreased significantly the activity of lactase. And I think Ray had talked about that a long time ago. Like estrogen, by making the intestine cold, caused like the inability to secrete lactase or something. And so if I were to guess, I think like estrogen is like the thing causing the inability. And so, but like how to get estrogen under control? It's like a signal of injury. And so that could be from the gut, like endotoxin or constipation or diarrhea. That it could be from general low thyroid. The guy I talked to, he started having Parkinson's symptoms, and he was taking like monstrous doses of progesterone. He's taking like 200, and again, I had been working with him for a long time, and there was like nothing he could do to fix his milk allergy. And amazingly, that was the thing. But I don't know. I think it would just take some like self-assessment, whether it's like your temperature is really low, your bowel function is messed up, or
everything.
Or just everything, and just trying to chip away one by one.
I'm sorry to take your time. I'm gonna make it very short, but I just want to give like kudos to mushrooms. How I had a IBS or IBD, and I just want to say that if anyone's listening out there, mushrooms, white button mushrooms, it's like a game changer. It reduced my inflammation, also my blood markers on my blood tests. And like if you have diarrhea or anything, anyway, I'm going on a rant. I just want to say thank you for recommending white button mushrooms. It really works.
Oh yeah. I agree, man. I've never heard a negative story about them ever.
Yeah, I used to eat carrots, but the mushrooms are so much more potent than the carrots.
I agree.
I think how many do you cook at a time? Like how much do you cook at a time, and how long?
I'm a bit lazy, so I asked the ChatGPT or another version of it. It's called Luma, whatever. It said that the hydrazine and the agaritine. I'm butchering the words, but you get my saying.
Yeah.
If you cook it like 15 minutes at 180 degrees. This is not a recommendation. This is just what I do. So I cook it for 15 minutes because I'm lazy. I don't have time to cook it for 2 or 3 hours. And I just eat like maybe 100 grams cooked white button mushrooms every day. It works for me. I had like severe IBD, IBS. My skin inflammation was really high. Like I had just red skin since I was like 18. It almost completely disappeared after a week. And any diarrhea also disappeared. So it's a huge improvement.
Wow. Amazing. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Cool. Nathan, you'll be the last person because I actually have another call. So I got to get off here. Nathan, go for it.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting this. Thanksgiving. And my quick question here is I noticed you mentioned Bryan Johnson on your Telegram channel. Bryan Johnson also recently made a post about taking psilocybin. Do you have any commentary on that? And do you think that it might affect how does serotonin agonism relate to the effects that he was seeing?
I don't know much about psilocybin. I thought I had a paper that showed that it opposed cluster headaches, and headaches have a serotonergic component to it. So I would assume it has some like level of like anti-serotonin effects. But and I know they use it for PTSD and stuff, but I'm not really sure. Like the thing that I had heard about it from living in San Francisco, it was people would always say it would give them diarrhea. So I was never too tempted to try it, But I mean,
I think that's probably related to serotonin agonism.
Yeah, I know. I think so. I mean, diarrhea drugs can be anti-serotonin, like cipreptidine. But Bryan is like, I'm like in awe of him because he has come into like the health world and usurped like Dave Asprey and like Paul Saladino and like all these people. So I'm like fascinated with him, even though he's kind of like the anti-Ray Peat. Like I have like nothing against him whatsoever, but I think his philosophy is kind of like he like loves science a little bit too much, and I use the word science with like the capital trademark, and
science.
Yeah, and I think he was like all about mRNA vaccines when they came out, and he might even owned part of a company that is mRNA, and so it'll be interesting to see his development, but like his philosophy is like completely nonsensical. And
I guess the question will be if he loves the truth more than the science, and if he comes to the same conclusions.
And it seems like he kind of does. Like, I mean, he has like even the sauna thing, like that to me, that directly contradicts his low body temperature, And so I don't know, maybe he'll move in some direction that's positive. But again, I'm amazed at his dominance. Like I think like because I like Dave Asprey was like the king of like biohacking for a really long time, and then like some dude just comes out of nowhere and just like is absolutely dominant. And I like I don't know why I'm just like fascinated with it. I think it's really interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I have some follow-up questions, but I don't want to take too much of your time.
I could probably answer one more for you.
Okay. There's one other thing, which is psilocybin has a paradoxical anti-serotonin effect. It doesn't increase serotonin; it just mimics it temporarily and binds to 5-hydroxytryptophan receptors, and then the brain basically downregulates or desensitizes certain serotonin pathways, supposedly. So this could make one less serotonergic. That is the overall idea. I've also heard of people taking cerebrolysin, which is a peptide related to this. I wondered if you have any comment on that, or if you know any avenues one could look through to go further down this that would, have a better perspective than Bryan Johnson would.
Well, I mean, you might know more about the mechanisms than I do. I do know that the physiological regulator of serotonin that hardly ever gets talked about, as far as I can see, is CO2. And so like CO2 is supposed to keep serotonin in the platelets and mast cells. And so if a person's just low thyroid or their temperature is low, obviously, I think they'll just have more baseline serotonin just in general. And there's a guy that corroborates pretty much every single thing that Ray ever said about serotonin. He has a paper called "Is Serotonin an Upper or Downer?" by Paul Andrews. And the paper is as if Ray had written it himself. It's like absolutely insane to read it. And this guy says that SSRIs are obviously dangerous because they can increase serotonin, but he also says that serotonin directly activates like the adrenal cortex and causes a release of cortisol. And so that was like this fantastical claim. I remember reading from Ray real early on and being like, how come I've never heard this before? Like nobody talks about serotonin increasing cortisol, and everybody knows too much cortisol is not good. But anyways, that CO2 connection, I don't even really hear people talk about it in the Ray Peat universe. Like people think like if you want to lower your serotonin, you'll just automatically get on an anti-serotonin drug, but increasing your thyroid function would do it. And obviously increasing elimination and stuff. But the thing that piqued my interest initially was the LSD connection to it. And there does seem to be a little bit of information that it has some type of effect on serotonin. And just from people I know that have done it, like it seems to be very anti-serotonin. So, but I know so little about psilocybin, I probably couldn't even comment on it.
Well, you've commented in a useful way so far, so thank you.
Cheers, brother. Hey guys, I got to get running here. Complete, total pleasure. Maybe I'll do this on Twitter next time. It might be easier. And I have no clue what happened to Telegram. I don't know why that was so janky, but thanks for coming. Total pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Have a great rest of your week. I'll talk to you guys.
Thank you so much, Danny.
Okay, I definitely will. Total pleasure, guys. Take care. Okay,
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Love you guys.